Oh man, Eagles. What? What are y'all doing? What? There's no way y'all lost to the Cowboys. To the Cowboys. You go on 21 nothing, and then do nothing else. Pretty much the rest of that game. That was it. I mean, there was a lot of these games. I was like this Sunday that basically was here of like, man, what this is the few times where it's like, oh, there's one play kind of thing or whatever. Just like there was this one, there was the Giants in Detroit, there was the Bengals in New England. I was like, there was a bunch of games that were just like, oh man, there was the Bears and and Pittsburgh, but let's go with the real big one here is with the Cowboys, mainly because it looked like they were about to rout the hell out the Cowboys. It was 21 nothing, like they were about to skunk these fools, and out of nowhere, it's just like slow and steady. They just got back in it, and then it just seemed like the whole game. It seemed like they used all their potions. They used all of their magical stuff, the Eagles, at the very beginning of the game. And thinking that, oh, okay, if we overwhelmed them so early on, then we ain't got to worry about it later on. And then later on happened, and it was just over after that. Like, neither team played perfect. But you really get to say that the Cowboys really played their best ball after that first like quarter and a half. Whereas the Eagles, like they did stuff throughout the rest of the game, but their passing attack that was just like crisp and on fire really seemed like it all got used up at the very beginning. Because they was killing the Cowboy passing game. They was over here looking like, yo, they look like the classic. We want to shut up what the media got to say. We ain't about to play. We coming out. We gonna show y'all that we know how to throw these ball. That we know how to pull. I was like they even Saquon Barkley was getting the ball, running a bit. Out. Didn't matter. It didn't matter once that second half got going. And I was like, Cowboy just stuck to it. George Pickens is just a beast. George Pickens, like it's like CeeDee Lamb, you could tell it's like, I mean, he had a bunch of drops that probably would that once again like the first game of the year could have changed this game and made it even probably more of a blowout. I mean, or gave the Cowboys more power to score than it looked like. But George Pickens is a different type of top receiver. Like yes, he sort of have to be in the second role in a sense. You see that Pittsburgh basically should have kept him, what I thought they should have, just because if you're gonna have an all like shell out for Aaron Rodgers last year, what does it matter if you got George Pickens acting a fool and whatever, like, hey, keep him this year, and then after that. But anyway, he's on the Cowboys, and he looks like I don't know if anybody y'all ever like played enough like 2K basketball or even Madden or something like that where you could tell like you got a special player, like a player that like the video game had put some of his own, like, how the video game could do stuff that you can't do, but there's always like certain character that you can do stuff with, that you're just like, that character, that this certain player should be able to do these type of things, except for you got a little extra something you can't put your finger on. That what Jordan Pickens seems to be. He seems to be something where it's like he's acting in a way where I was like, it just seems like, oh, that's really crazy talented type of stuff, more than just, oh, he's like a very, like Jamar Chase, very talented player. I was like Jefferson, same thing. Even CeeDee Lamb, but Pickens just got weird type of like talent and weird, like able to, and like weird ability, and the way his body sort of moves, I think is also too, like he does, like he's a big receiver. He doesn't really look like it. Yeah, I think how he looked more lanky in a way, but they just were able to get back into the game no matter how many times they fumbled. I was like, guess what? The Eagles fumbled just right back. They missed a field goal. The Eagles missed a field goal right back. But it just, I was like, but once it got 14-21, it just felt like, okay, the Cowboys, they back in it. Because 7-21 went, I was like, it still feels like, oh, okay, you was gonna score. You got too much offense and not score. But once it got 14-21 and the Eagles just sort of kept sputtering a bit, you just sort of just felt like, oh, the Cowboys have a chance here. Then it flipped again where it just seemed like, oh, okay, Cowboys gonna Cowboy. But no, the Eagles, Cowboys. And I'm told, like, also, because I'm also with another game, the Colts and the Chiefs. Now for Thanksgiving, we actually got a game to look forward to. Anyway, Eagles, I was like, y'all got some explaining to do. See, it's these type of losses, that will have everybody in the media where it's just like, oh, what do you think happened at the end of the game? I don't really know. I feel like we was, talking all that BS. Anyway, another close game. The Bears and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I felt like that Pittsburgh, they had their chance. They didn't get it done. I don't think if Rodgers would have played, it really would have made too much of a difference. But I do feel like the Pittsburgh is a little bit more explosive than Mason Rudolph. I also think that Pittsburgh was the former Eagle, Kenneth Gainwell, a lot more as well. I was like, but give it to the Bears. I was like, these games that they're barely inking out, they was losing last year. So you got to give them props on sticking it out. And just when you think like, oh, Pittsburgh got this game, I think the Bears put down enough of a drive to basically give themselves a chance after that. And then after that, you're asking Mason Rudolph to do a different type of game or whatever of like, hey, we want you to lead us down there. It's like, all right. I was like, nah. Second quarter, I can trust Mason Rudolph. You need me to do a drive, I'm not really in that believing mode. Also, with the Colts and with the Chiefs, I was like, another team that was basically going to be put night, but guess what? The Chiefs was able to pull it out, and Mahomes, for that drive, was able to pull it out with Rashee Rice and the passer Xavier Worthy was able to get it out, and also was able to really damper the Colts with the damper Taylor and his the run game, and the defense was also really getting sort of ate up as much as getting Sauce Gardner and stuff like that. They wasn't really stopping the Chiefs in a way that you were thinking. That's everybody pretty much thought. And the Chiefs defense, didn't stop them until it was needed. Then because at times it was just like, oh man, the coach just keeps on getting, a couple down. I was like, first downs here, but they were able to put it at the end of just like that veteran. I feel like we just need that one stop, whatever veterans need to be saying, but that sounds like something they would say. And that I was like, I feel like New England had a scare with the Bengals. And to be honest, if the Bengals probably had their full crew of wide receivers, I mean, I know they had Higgins and it had but Higgins ended up getting hurt and ended up not being able to come back. Of course, Chase had for Spitgate. That other dude, Idiovas, I was like, I'm already gonna mess up his name, but he was out for a couple plays. I was like, and I think at the end, I think that was a pass interference call that they could have did for New England, but they didn't. But yeah, I was like, they couldn't really lose after Drake May. Like, who is Cam Newton? What show he's on? All that BS. I was like, where people were just like, oh man, like Drake May ain't paying attention. That's like, if he not paying attention to it, how he know about this shit? Whatever. I was like, they wasn't gonna be able to lose that game because then you would have heard it. It would have been like some real fool's gold. And like, why also? And I was like, Drake May said we were supposed to, of like, I was like, he ain't supposed to believe in the fool's gold. But guess what? We can say it's fool's gold. Y'all ain't never been here. Why can't it be fool's gold? Anyway, I was like, but they was in a scare, fight for their life. Speaking of scared and fighting for their life, Detroit Lions versus the New York Giants. Jameis Winston had like for the second week, I will say for the second week, played a really good game. I think last week it was like Jameis Winston threw the interception and ended the game, and it's like no, his receiver stopped running towards the ball. That if he would at least ran towards the ball, it might not have been an interception. He could at least stopped it from being an interception. I'm not saying they would have scored, but I was like, but if your receiver stopped where you think they're supposed to be going, so there's that. Once again, here, first of all, that was a cold ass play that Jameis Winston caught the ball, was able to juke the dude out, stiffed arm him, get to a touchdown. Crazy. But Kafka kicked the field goal. Your defense has been doing a decent to good job against Detroit. They have been able to pressure the hell out of Jared Goff all night. And to be honest, if it wasn't for Jahmyr Gibbs, they wouldn't have any type of play, any type of anything on their offense. They were stopped. I was like, you've been doing a good job the whole time, or whatever. If you just kick the field goal, that means they have to score a touchdown instead of settling for a field goal. And guess what? They did settle for a field goal. But guess what? You could have just kicked the field goal, and guess what? They need 7. And it's not. And I was like, it wasn't even against Jameis Winston. It was just really just why are you chancing it like this? And you wasn't close enough either for Jameis Winston to do some. Oh, he can run in for himself or something like that either. I think I just think that I'm just like, hey, you got this far. You were beating their ass for a good portion. They were scoring on you or whatever, but you were still getting the golf. Let your defense do what they do when you have that many pass rushers. Burns been going crazy this year. I'm just saying. I get it. You might think like, oh, okay, going it that deep there that, hey, can they drive the field against the defense? I'm telling you to let them play up against it. I'm like, yeah, but it's a different type of defense where it's like, you just got to get a field goal. The pressure's not the same as when you have to score a touchdown. There's a different pressure. There's a different relentlessness that you can have them go after Jared Goff with. So they should have did that. They didn't do any of that in that sense. Other notes or whatever, thoughts from, hey, Shedeur, good job on getting the win. You did a good job for your team to get the win. Of course, Bob Garrett's going crazy, and yes, I understand. It is the Raiders, but a win is a win, and it works for here because he's a rookie. No matter how y'all want to slice it, because if he would have went out there and thrown 3 interceptions, he'd have been hot garbage. He would have went in there and threw 4 touchdowns. He's the next King Messiah. I was like, here, he did good. He did what he was supposed to. He did what he needed to. I felt letting Justin do the Wildcat and stuff like that. On one hand, I was like, I get it, because it's like, hey, let's go ahead and get some scores on the board, and we can take a little bit more pressure off of Shedeur Sanders, because guess what? If you score, guess what? There's less pressure on the boy to try to score. But at the same time, I'm like, you also taking away from the guy from having a chance to make the score, do touchdowns. And I'm like, and so in another sense, not even in like a conspiracy theory type of way, but just in a way of just letting the dude just play and just letting him just go out there and make the mistakes or see the field or whatever. Like his interception, you could tell like that is just something that is going to get any rookie quarterback. I was like, the lineman dropped back, got him. But after that, Shedeur, I was like, he played fine. He also showed really well where he was able to get that pass off to Jerry Jeudy for like 60-something yards. And Jerry Jeudy effed up by trying to do some Jerry Jeudy type of stuff. But fine, it was a good game. Good. Also, give it time. Just give it time for the JJ McCarthy experience. Yes. I was like, look, it looks bad. It looks bad. It does. But like I said, you just gotta live with it. You do. And I was like, who you gonna really get There ain't nobody for you to get. I mean, unless you want to go back and go get your XX in Kirk Cousins, who was able to beat the Saints. And I was like with Atlanta, and hey, they do something. Yeah, they do something. I mean, they were really not in that game. I just really wanted to make the X comment. Kinda, yeah. Um, Other than that, everything else just fell how it sort of needed to fall, or whatever. Um, yeah. So go on, like, but I still the two games that shocked me was the Eagles losing to the Cowboys. Cause I'm not gonna lie, there was a point where I seen it was 21-0, and I went to go do other stuff, and I seen the final score of the game, and I had to be like, okay, well, I gotta watch this game. So I went back and watched the game. But the Giants one where I was like, James was killing them, and then I was like, then the coach got a little bit too cute, which is funny because I was like, the cute play he did do, James scored on, and then when the play that he was trying to be cute on, James couldn't score on. So anyway, man, I was like, this was actually a good slate of games this week. Because this is sort of part of the time of the year where we start getting to the nobody, like, you're really waiting for upsets more than anything. So I was like, so now we got some. Oh, also, I was like, before I go out of here, Ravens down at Pittsburgh done lost. Raven looking hella scary now a little bit, isn't it? Now I will say that they had a tight game for a while against the Jets, but I mean the Jets playing hard, got a better competent quarterback over there. I know it was like they didn't put up numbers, but I was like the Ravens also are playing really good defense as well now too. But I think the Jets have got more of a competent team, and so they were going to play a little bit harder. Then guess what? Then the good team just end up like putting their will on it, and then start changing the game. So, yeah. Sorry, Justin. Damn. Yeah. Other than that, I believe that's it. Anything else? Whatever. Goodbye.